Assalamualaikum warahmatullah and good morning to all my students. So this course is EDE7473 Entrepreneurship in Education. As for day one, I would like to introduce to you about entrepreneurship. It's more about the history of entrepreneurship. Let's move to the next slide, which as for introduction in 1700s, which is the century of 18th century, the word entrepreneurship comes from the French entrepreneur. So it means that individuals who undertake the risk of new ventures, that means if you take a new ventures refer to any business. So in this business, of course, you have to take some risk. So there is, I call it the word, the basic word of entrepreneur comes from. And number two, Richard Cantillon, who was a French economics in 1755, he mentioned that entrepreneur actually invests, transform, and makes money. That means makes profit and loss. So they put their money, they put their investment, and use the investment to transform something in order for the entrepreneur to make some profit. Yeah. So Adam Smith, after that, 1776, widened the scope by saying that the task of forming an organization for commercial purposes and the extra qualities. So you must have the extra qualities, of the entrepreneur. So that's we call them as enterprises. So if you are unable to have extra qualities, better than other people, you are not called enterprises. So it is something new characteristic, is something that you have additional qualities in yourself. So that's why we call it as enterpriser. Next one, we move on after that in the 19th centuries, which is 1800, sorry. So John Baptist said in 1903, saying that entrepreneur exhibited certain competencies in creating enterprise and influence society by forming enterprises, and was in turn influenced by society to recognize needs and to fulfill them through skillful management of resources. So certain competency, we will look later what are we call certain competency. That means the urge that you want to do, your motivation, the different skill of knowledge that you have, then you try to influence to form it as enterprises and influence society to recognize the needs and fulfill them through skillful management of resources. Resources can be capital, can be investment, can be people, labors. So this all we call it knowledge, also we call as resources. Later, John Stuart Mill, who was a British economics in 1848, he mentioned that enterprise counted for the fourth factor of production. So before this, we had land, labor, and capital. So this is entrepreneurship considered as a fourth factor. So entrepreneurial function to assemble those factors for production. So you have land, you have labor, you have capital. What you have to do, you have to assemble, get together, and this become factors of for production. You produce something. In 1871, Karl Menger, Austria, so he mentioned that entrepreneurs are economic agents. What are the agents? Agent is something that is intermediate people. That means a person who actually give force, to the economic. This person actually transform resources. Resources, as I mentioned before, it can be land, it can be labor, it can be capital, investment, into goods and services. Not only production of goods, but also it becomes services. So when we combine this, of that we can have what we call value added and also efficiency. So that is what Karl Menger mentioned about value added and efficiency. So this is what we call it value-added transformation of resources. You can see, for example, in this case, in order for you to bake a bread which is a highest quality, which is your priority number one, look at priority number 8. Yeah, for example, grain in field has very low value. That means low quality. Yeah, and when you have low quality, priority 7, bulk grain from farmer has low value. So there will be interception or intermediate steps in transformation to transform this bulk grain from a low quality value into a meal flour for baker, which we would like to target for the high value. Priority number 3. So when you have a meal flour for baker which has high value, so bread at bakery for sale also it has high value, and delivered baked bread is also has a highest value or quality. So that is priority that you would like to achieve. Then between priority 7 and 3, you have a lot of transformation. All right, the next one, in 1900s, yeah, Joms Computer, also from Austria, in 1934, he introduced that the concept of creative destruction. Destruction is seen as a usual way of doing things by the introduction of new improved ways. That means keep on improvising the current product. Yeah, so that's why we call it as a creative destruction. Which destruction of usual things, of doing things, by introduce new concept, introduce new improved ways in certain ways. All right, in 1957, H.G. Evans look at entrepreneurship as the post-formation formation stage of the venture. An entrepreneur decide type of products and sizes, size of business and market to be targeted. So that means they have strategic marketing, what kind of products, what kind of service they would like to introduce, and what size of business. So these are all the market is so huge, so that they be able to identify which kind of product or services that they would like to target, as well as what kind of business and what kind of size of business they would like to target. So after that, in 1950s, there was a resurgence of interest in entrepreneurship. So only during that time, there were interest from other people in society. So there was the appearance of a journal called Explorations in Entrepreneurship History, which was in 1900s. Okay, let's move on after that. In 1970, there was the emergence of entrepreneurship as a discipline of study. So in 1970 only, there were many what I call it discipline of studies in terms of entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is very diverse field of study. It can be from the perspective of theology, it can be from history, psychology, social psychology, sociology, economics, management, and strategic management. So there are many types of diverse field of studies in entrepreneurship. So today, what we can see, the discipline is offering its own typology and areas of specialization, which entrepreneurship sometimes appearing in names like new business development or even new venture creation, just different new names of the entrepreneurship. Okay, these are the values and characteristics which come from authors, for example, like Myers and Goldstein, 1961. So these are the values that the entrepreneurship should possess, right? Like rationality and objectivity, realistic expectation. You need to plan carefully. Whether is it suitable to your personality, emotional stability, and also the competence in managing. So there are I will not go one by one. What you can see here, the right hand side there, there are written values and characteristics. Yeah, as an entrepreneur, that person should have drive and energy, self-confidence, a long-term involvement, yeah, dealing with failure, use of feedback. You want to get a feedback from your customers, yeah, taking initiative, competing against self-imposed standards. You must have your own standard which you will like to compete with your own standards. Internal locus of control, the meaning that any failure is come from yourself, you know. Tolerance of ambiguity, sometimes it's not we're not sure, you know, so we should calculate some risks, yeah. And also there would be some commitment, yeah, a knowledge of the business, yeah, team building, economic values, integrity, ethics. All these are some of the values and characteristics that each and everyone in entrepreneurship should possess. Beside that also, good health, basic need to control and direct, self-confidence, never ending sense of agency. That means everything that you do, that will be urgent, yeah. Comprehensive awareness, for example, nowadays we have COVID-19, how we should take countermeasure in our business, yeah. Everyone has been affected by COVID-19, so you as entrepreneur, you must take ahead of your strategic management or strategic marketing to produce your product and to your service as well, and you take certain awareness, you know, of this thing. And beside that also, sufficient emotional stability, it has to be strong, yeah. Your inner of your mind, yeah. Attraction to challenges, not risks. All this we call it as values and characteristics. Okay, let's move on. How we should define entrepreneur and entrepreneurship. So there are several approaches in describing. First, economics and management scientists, they would like to see from the functional view, what kind of entrepreneurial functions towards the economic, for example, how they contribute to economic. So that will comes from the functional view, yeah. Sociologists and psychologists, perhaps they want to see what kind of characteristics or behavioral and competency perspective, yeah, of an entrepreneur. So how entrepreneurs play roles in society, for example, how their behavior towards customers, for example, how they would like to get feedback from customers, how they are very strong emotional and mental stability, yeah? And there are also other open up for the more explorations. That means entrepreneurship is very wide scoped, yeah. So when we define entrepreneurs are individuals who actively form or lead. That means it's a beyond normal practice of business formation. It's not just, you know, a normal business, but also how you actively eager to explore more in your business. It's not just a matter of making profit, that's all, but it's beyond that. Or lead, how you lead people, how you lead your business, and also to nurture in a sense that you expand for individuals, your family, and also societal prosperity. This not only for yourself but also for your familial and societal prosperity. That means you hire people, you give them job, you give them salary, you grow together with them. For growth and prosperity, that mean is growth for the economy of the nation. Yeah, it's not only for your own family, but that means you offer job, you contribute to the country by paying, for example, taxes, by paying a zakat, for example, and also to help those people who are underprivileged. So when you grow and you are prosper, that money can help the other people in your society. Alright, so here you can see from the table here, there are differentiating by function between petty traders, entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, and corporate entrepreneurs. So you can see that petty traders is those people, for example, like selling a product or food, for example, in pasar malam, that when we call as them as petty traders. So for petty traders, you can see that they don't actually take opportunity to expand their business, because very limited kind of for example, investment, maybe limited knowledge, support and so on. So what motivate them is actually for own self-employment, as also to survive for the family. But if you can see that entrepreneurs and corporate entrepreneurs. Corporate entrepreneurs, that means you work for somebody else, but in the corporate ways, you can see that the self-motivations are the same, which is actually self-fulfillment and also self-actualization. So self-fulfillment and self-actualization, you can see if you learn about Abraham Maslow, how they feel satisfied, how they make them, they know what they want to do. So that is, we call it self-actualization. So entrepreneurs a bit different because what they do is actually motivate them is subservient to corporate directive, and they don't assume that it is their own ownership. But the rest is the same, assuming leadership, assembling resources, forming new ventures, expanding opportunistically. So a bit different is only they don't assume as the ownership. So that is what the different functions among better petty traders, entrepreneurships, intrapreneurs, and corporate entrepreneurs. Alright, so we go detail what we can see at entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is actually the ability to see and make opportunity. That's very important. That means you look something and you think that is actually opportunity, and you have courage to take risks in transforming the opportunity into a successful venture. That means you are willing to take some risks. You want to transform that opportunity, and see opportunities in problems. That means problems is something that become opportunities. So I would say that entrepreneurs should be opportunists, to seize them. That means to capture them, and also you see problems as opportunity, and you are willing to take calculated risk. Calculated risk means something that you must not how you must calculate the risk. For example, what is it benefit or not benefit to you? So you prepare something, and you take whether you are willing to take this risk or are not willing to take this risk. So this we call it calculated risk. That means you just not you are not really just take the opportunity, but you also have some calculation in the risk. So that's what we call it calculated risk. Next, they are not gamblers, who leave much to chance. Entrepreneurs calculate their chances. That means, as I mentioned before, that means you have your own strategy to calculate some risk. If the risk is lower than what you're supposed to get, then it's better for you. If more than that, then perhaps you leave that opportunity. Alright, entrepreneurship is come from the word entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is a process which is normally seen within the entrepreneurship's orientation towards exploitation of economic opportunities. So it's related to economic opportunities. Exploit. How you going to exploit that? You see problems as part of opportunities. And this orientation is driven by attributes in national development. That means you are the one who will contribute in national development, such as pioneering spirit. You start first. Opportunity seeking, aggressiveness, initiative, creativity, and endless perseverance. So that means the entrepreneurs is actually those people who have that kind of spirit. Yeah, you cannot sit down. You have to find some ways. Yeah, you have to get your own initiative. You have to be creative to think. You have to keep on thinking for something. And last but not least is actually how you preserve yourself. Yeah, with that mean you keep on um, uh, be patient. Yeah, patience and passion towards what you're doing. All right, entrepreneurship can be divided into two perspectives, which is micro and also is macro. So for the micro, is considered entrepreneurship is a process. That means it's a process of doing business, yeah, in a creative way, initiative, self-driven and so on. We call it as a process. Micro perspectives it is a force to be generated and harnessed. And entrepreneurship is a process of creating and expanding business. That's very important. Entrepreneurs is not only you open one business as all until your retirement age, but actually you keep on expanding your business. This is a part of a collectively form a force for national development and societal prosperity, because when you expand your business, of course you will hire many people, so that will help to develop human capital, that will develop by paying tax, that will develop our national development or nations, and also to make the society prosper. So through entrepreneurship, resources are assembled and used. So these resources are the people, money, place, yeah, product, time, management. These are all resources that you actually you assemble, you put together and use them for the exploitation of opportunities, not for managing problems. So stuff supposed to give solutions, supposed to help the entrepreneur, not to manage problems of the staff. So that's why the entrepreneur should be able to manage people in his or her company. So entrepreneurship also encompasses some management functions. That means how you will be functional in your company, how you're going to manage people, manage finance, for example, manage your quality, manage your product, manage how to deal with customers. All this we call it management functions. All right, now we move on to Islamic entrepreneurship. So the question here, could one survive in today's business without resorting to corruption and cheating? So business is not about corruption and cheating. Yeah, so we look at from the perspective of Islam. So Prophet Muhammad was determined to create an Islamic business culture as replacement for the prevailing culture. What are the prevailing culture? So you look at the second sentence, ikainuka. That is the prevailing market run by non-Muslim, which actually they practice rampant riba, usuri, and also cheating. So that is the market that before Islam. Yeah. So the Prophet Muhammad set up Saqul Madinah, that we call it Madinah market, practicing the teaching of Islam. Yeah. That means we discard all the corruption and cheating. What happened when we discarded all this corruption and cheating? So consequences, the holistic Saqul Madinah prospered, and the scleristic Koinika had to close down because they were cheating and also they practiced corruption. So you can see that when the Islam came into the picture, that will prosper the people around that and also for the society. So beside the holistic approach, Islamic entrepreneurship also consider as that the individual must be first religious. If you are not religious, you don't serve yourself to God, then you cannot become an entrepreneur. So once you are religious, then it's good to become a practitioner because you follow the teaching of Islam. Yeah? Number two, the benevolent person, or in Malay, insan berihsan, that means you really put put down yourself in front of Allah, you submit everything to Allah. True vocation, perform duties as ibadah. So that means your work that you do, your entrepreneurship, yeah, your business is actually, we call it as part of worship, ibadah, and is instructed with the role of a responsible leader or khalifah. So you know that when you do something, when you sell your product, yeah, that is actually ibadah. When you know that it's a worship ibadah, it has to be clear, it has to be sincere, so there will be no cheating and so on. Number 4, entrepreneurs have objectives and targets. These are subservient to the ultimate objective of acquiring the blessing of Allah. So you know that what are your objective, what are your targets. That means your target actually to help people, to provide job opportunities, to provide a good quality of products, to prosper the society. These are part of your objectives and your targets. So by doing this, perhaps at the end of the day, you submit everything to Allah. Next, to indulge in Islam is to perform an obligatory duty, fardu kifayah, meaning that the business that you're doing is obligatory duty. That means if no one in that particular society does that business, that means everyone will get sin. So you know that you do it because of to serve it to your society as an obligatory duty. Okay, profits are merely incidental in the fulfillment of fardu kifayah. You can make profit, you can make profit, but it's not too much. It's not too much, meaning that you don't squeeze people, you don't sell too expensive product, because you know your duty actually for society. You take some profit, but it doesn't mean that we can profit among practitioner. That is again, the individual must be religious first, because you take it for your own survival. So therefore, this is a different perspective. As what you can see, that people make money, they charge so expensive, they think only for themselves. But in Islam, it's actually you have to think for other people, especially your society. Next, number 7, profits are encouraged to prosper the community through donations, taxes, tips, and etc. That means you pay zakat, 2.5% of your profit, for example, you go back to your society to help to prosper your community and your society. So with Ubudiyah, that means the state of servitude before Allah. Tawhid, oneness of God, that means there is only one God. We don't have so many gods. So risk taking becomes a guided endeavor. So the meaning that there will be risk taking, but it is something guided, that guided by Allah. Regardless of the outcome, whatever outcome, entrepreneur Muslim must be humble and redha. Redha is that mean, for example, we redha of COVID-19. We know that is what has been given by God. So all the time we have to be humble, we have to be redha, whatever outcome is, whether it is positive or negative. Okay, we move on with the question, what motivates Muslim entrepreneurs? So the meaning of success and entrepreneurs' journey towards success is unique. Because why unique? Because we always put Allah as the first, that we depend on Allah. In business, we know that it's considered as worship. We know that we always have to be humble, we have to be redha. So we feel that is the meaning of the success. Hamad 1992 explained that success, as mentioned in the Quran, is associated with few words like falaha, al-falah, and faza fawzan. So fazwan. So all these are the words refer to success. There will, for example, in azan, hayya alal falah. So it is also towards successful. Yeah. So that during azan also we talk about successful. Next, there will be always conditions or relationship with other factors that may lead to success or failure. Yeah. So there are many factors. Yeah. But towards the end of the day, Allah is the one who give you success or the other way around. So when they give you some tests, which are not doing well, so this is a time for us to think back what we're supposed to do. Yeah. Hamad also itemized Al-Qurtubi's formula to success. Al-Qurtubi's scholars, Islamic scholars, which it has to be halal. That means whatever we do, the business, the product that we sell, it has to be halal. Now we have halal cosmetic, halal food, all this must be halal. Qana'ah. Number two, the success, the formula for success is qana'ah. Qana'ah, that means you are pleased with one's earnings. That means you always be grateful what you have. Alhamdulillah, shukran. Thank you Allah for giving us today's rezeki, for example. Taufiq, that means qana'ah, taufiq, blessing of Allah in proportion to one's expectations. And sa'adah, that means happy. Yeah. And then you also have Jannah. Towards the end of the day, we are going to Jannah. So therefore, success encompasses both the worldly and hereafter. In Islam, we must have these two ways of benefit to us. One is in the world and also is hereafter. That means the next world. Mufli may also be interpreted as success. It means to achieve what is desired, happiness in both worlds, prosperity, free from worries, difficult or mental anguish. So this came from the interpretation of ayat 130 Al-Imran. So these are how we interpret as success. Success is not about dollar and cents. It is beyond that. Yeah, some people have money but they are not happy, for example. Yeah, some people are not doing so well but they are happy. Yeah, so this success is what Quran outline is different as what we think as in conservative ways of success. Next, Imam Al-Ghazali in Minhajul Abidin outlines 7 stages for success. One is knowledge. Yeah, you must have that knowledge, a better knowledge in something. Repentance, yeah, temptation, obstacles, motivation, imperfections, praise and thankful. So these are the 7 stages, yeah, that Imam Al-Ghazali mentioned. Yeah, and next one is material wealth is never provident. That means we can create material wealth, but wealth may be owned provided the following principles are upheld. Yeah, you can get material wealth as much as we want, but ultimately at the end of the day, this wealth belongs to who? Belongs to Allah. Yeah, so Allah create wealth is plentiful, a lot, and more than enough for everyone. So we don't have to be worried, to be jealous, to be envy with other people. So everyone will have their own portion. And next, wealth is created by men. It's for people. It's for human beings. Yeah, and wealth is actually entrusted, amanah to men. That means when we are given wealth, we know that it's not belong to us. We know where to channel all this wealth. Yeah, by doing donation, giving donation, for example, you help other people, poor people. That means we are just a person who is being entrusted. We are not the owner, right? So the pursuit of wealth must be accompanied by intention, means, management, and usage as stipulated by Islam. So this is the way how Islam is so beautiful in mentioning that it is supposed to be the way of Islam in conducting your entrepreneurship. All right. So we move on to the entrepreneurial process. So this is about how about you would like to continue or start your business. First, you have to, number one, here you can see that here opportunity scanning. Yeah, that means we have to scan the opportunity. Yeah, and also there is a way for you to seize when you think there is opportunity, and then you will seize the opportunity, and then you formulate your business idea, what you want to do with that opportunity. Yeah, and then after that you will do business information process, and then you have to conceptualize your business. Yeah, what kind of business, for example, is it doable or not, for example. And then you have resource pooling and strategizing. So that will be, you can see whether do you have enough capital, for example. You have sufficient resources, for example. If you don't have, then you have to discard. Yeah, that means you have to stop it. But if you have all these resource pooling and strategy, then you move on to formalizing venture creation, and finally you have operationalizing the venture. The importance of entrepreneurial network, that means you have a networking in conducting your business. Alright, this is entrepreneurial process, which it is divided into three, which are man, business, and environment. Yeah. So the first one, you have to scan the environment for business opportunities, and then identify several business opportunities and assess and choose the most opportune and promising, the best return of your business. That means you have to do scanning first. Yeah. And then number two, as a business, you have to visualize the business idea and assess it. The idea may not be far too good or far too complex. It depends on how you would like to do your business. Yeah, if too complex, also sometimes very difficult. Yeah, if too good, also too simple, sometimes also you cannot achieve it sometimes. Yeah, and competitive intelligence, you must have get information, including your competitors information, and also a lot of things that we call competitive intelligence. Yeah. And then environment, pooling of resources, technology, materials, human factors, finance, land or premises, or you have a shop lots. Yeah. Assistance is sought from family members, friends, yeah, or financial institutions, banks, for example. And strategies are formulated and viability, technical and financial, and these are manifested in the business plan. So this is what you call it entrepreneurial process, that you need. There are three factors here: man, business, and environment. Okay, so perhaps you can have some discussion, what you have learned or what you have listened to this lecture. So perhaps you can define, entrepreneur and entrepreneurship. Number two, can a pious entrepreneur compete in today's business world? Discuss it. And what can you explain about Menger's model, and what are the items in Al-Kutubi's formula? This is what actually so-called your checklist, what you have learned in this class. So as of today, I think that's all for today, and I hope you have understood what you have learned, and thank you very much. Thank you for listening.